one, the last one of the day, so obviously everyone will be running for the train halfway through, but hopefully you'll bear with me. I wanted to take the opportunity today, because we've got such a range of people here, to have a look at development projects in general, so it can only be broad brush, but the constraints and the solutions that could possibly be around, because although we have all this great information that everyone's bringing us to it, there are still ways where it's difficult to get this into a development. So, first pretty picture. I managed to find a different picture of London. This picture was taken by Lou Yang on London in February this year, about 8 o'clock at night. She was flying home for Christmas, delayed Christmas. But what she showed me this picture to point out to me that she could see the river and Richmond's Park, and thought it was brilliant that it was dark. And the one thing I thought when she showed me the picture was, well, I know central London's got loads of parks, and I can't see them. So there's two perceptions of one picture, two people taking it very differently. What it does show is that we have a problem. We know we've got lots of bats in London, but if you take a picture like this, you'd say, where do they live? So the problem we've got is the population. As it has been alluded to several times already today, there's lots of people. We need lots more infrastructure in order to house these people, give them somewhere to work, and give them some way of moving around. So the expanding population is our problem, and we're taking up more and more of the world's resources. So our job as ecologists, I think, anyway, is to try and balance it out and provide a compromise. Compromise isn't always a word that's accepted very well in ecology. People don't tend to use it, but it is our only choice. There are these people, there is going to be the infrastructure, we do need to compromise. So common problems we have in projects. Number one, and possibly the most important project problem that we come across, is timing of a development. Whether we've got involved right at the very beginning, whether we've got involved right at the very end. That leads on to the next one, is master plan and outline permission. Quite often, when there's something already started and nobody's thought of any lighting issues for ecology, then it can become a real issue. We have conflicts with other guidance. We haven't got that much guidance in ecology with lighting. However, there is lots and lots of other guidance out there, and not all of it says the same thing. Planning can also be quite an issue. Every single local planning area has their own ideas, their own plans, their own guidance. It's not easy to work with, but the worst one I think is the norm. It's an age-old problem. You quite often get asked, but I've always put that one in. And this is just a problem. So here we have a normal street light. This is a brand new development that was put in last year. It's very close to my house, and it has exactly the same street design as my street, which was put in the 80s. So I think the norm is the biggest problem. Please excuse the blurring, that's intentional because I couldn't find one a client would let me use. So timing, I said it's the biggest problem. Most projects have something that looks a little bit like this. It's just a timing scale for a project, and the key thing is to get in early. Good ecological solutions can usually be designed out in most projects to a certain extent. It's not simply ensuring that the surveys are done to standard, they're done at the right time of year, and that they're done to an appropriate level, but that they're done early enough in the project in order to influence the design. The problem is often exacerbated when developments are shelved and then reopened, and this is an issue that we're having a lot at the moment. After the economic downturn, we're starting to see things coming back, and these are projects that are 5, 6 and 10 years old, and they've been completely shelved, but they're already mostly there. That leads me on to my master planning. This is just an example master plan that I found off Google. So most developments have a master plan, an outside design. They're usually lovely, they're usually pastel colours. They usually come along with a few street designs as well, which are usually lovely, usually pastel colours, and have strange people walking around in looking really happy on very clean streets. Usually with no lighting shown on those streets at all. However, when people have made these plans and they've spent time on them, they become very attached to them. And if you suggest that you want to change a plan, then it can be a bit of an issue. So we come back to the timing. I mean, I've found this master plan specifically, and on the face of it, I'm sure there are lots of people out there who say, it's actually not a bad thing. Okay, we're losing green space. Okay, we're losing habitat, but we've got to accept that some houses have got to be built, and they've given us a nice green corridor that runs all the way through the middle of the site. There's some green space to the top, and there's green space dotted about. The main problem I saw when I looked at this was the road that runs straight through the middle, cutting all the green space that's been put into the plan, which is a nice idea. We've got our nice green space with all its ponds from the green area at the north of the development. So straight away there's a severance issue, and it's one thing that could have simply been designed out by putting the road below the green space. So it's just little simple things, but the key is getting in right at the very beginning. Guidance. So guidance helps us. Guidance is the only thing we've got to make clients do things. And that is quite an important state. It promotes a client's acceptance of us asking them to spend money on something. So we use guidance for what surveys we do, we use guidance for what solutions we come out, and everybody uses guidance in how they do. It also makes sure that projects are fit for purpose, and etc. Ecological guidance in terms of lighting is quite slim at the moment. We've got lots of information that's being brought around in these days, and hopefully that'll get better. But not all guidance is bad. I tasked one of our younger lighting graduates, just as being mean, said to them, can you come up with a couple of pieces of guidance that are good for ecology? And he did. He came up with 3 or 4. Some of them I'd not seen before, some of them I'd had. But what we have to do, I think, as ecologists and as people looking for ecological design, is know what guidance is out there that supports our statements, supports what we want. So the British Standards says there's no statutory requirement to provide road lighting. So why are we doing it? There are all the other issues, there's the roundabout issues of safety and people's perception of safety. But yeah, we have to keep going back to that question as to why we're doing it. And this is one I hadn't seen before. The Chartered Institute of Building Services Engineers, Fact File 7, says that it's essential that the need to install lighting, that it must be in with the aim of the scheme. So again, it's saying, do we need to do it? So really, my message for that is, there is probably some guidance out there that supports something that you're trying to do, so look for it. The problem is planning and the status quo. We've already had this paragraph up before. It's quite positive. One of the main problems with it, in terms of looking at developments all over the country, is that every single local authority interprets it slightly differently, which causes problems with clients and cross-authority working. And also, it's not helpful with the economic downturn again, that there isn't always, not all planning authorities have the support they require and specialists to do that sort of thing. And it also links into the status quo. If it looks like a light and it shines light on the street, then it's a street light, and that's what they want. And we go back to, I've always put that one in, so why can't I do it again? So I know I'm being very broad brush here, but so opportunities and solutions, well, one of them today. The opportunity to, and it's been really positive, I think, today, listening to lots of different people talking about what's going on, and there is a lot of crossover going on, and that hopefully, fingers crossed, my interpretation should lead into some guidance so that we can waive that guidance at clients. But when we're looking at a development project, the biggest thing we need to do is to get in early. If you can get in early, you can get an innovative design. It doesn't really need to be something too special, and quite often it can just be the absence of something within a design which saves your client money. And you can piggyback other initiatives. The Dark Streets initiative is one I'm thinking of. I'll come to that in a minute. But look for other initiatives, usually out there for saving money. Council policies and emerging plans and emerging changes are going on all the time, all over the country. It's probably a missed opportunity for people to get involved, that have the knowledge, get involved, influence those plans, so that there isn't the problem when we come to a planning where we're being asked to come to a guidance that isn't quite right. Simple solutions, like I say, it doesn't have to cost the earth, capping lights. We had a project recently where we're doing quite a big bat mitigation in the Midlands, and we've gone through a year of survey, and we're putting in 2 lovely bat houses, and one of them has to be very close to the buildings we're taking down, and they've changed the car park slightly so it comes slightly close to the bat house. And then we just asked, well, what about the lighting? And yes, they were going to light the bat house. And it only took one conversation and 2 meters moving of their stand for them not to be lighting that area anymore. So it's that constant within a design team. I'm lucky in a way in working in a big consultancy where we do get to speak to all of the disciplines, but it's opening that communication between disciplines, even if they're not in your own company. When we're working on a project, because every massive development company is going to have a lighting engineer, is going to have a road engineer. You just need to be able to speak to them. So that was quite simple. We moved it. The other thing we asked is, what time does it finish? Use of this car park finishes at 11 o'clock. So now the lights get switched off at 11 o'clock. We've got one happy client who's going to save a lot of money. Another project we had recently, we had a road bisecting a commuting corridor. The surveys have found it's quite an interesting commuting corridor. It's a very mature wide hedge with very tall trees, and the bats were running straight from the top of the hedge. Every night, because of the levels of the land, they were just using the top of the hedge. However, for health and safety reasons, various other master planning reasons, and mainly due to sight lines for roads, one of the little roads onto the housing estate was going to go through this hedge. So through discussions and a lot of argy-bargy and subtle changes, the concept we've come up with currently, which is hopefully going in next year, is that they're lowering the level of the road. We've narrowed the road to the minimum it could possibly be to provide one carriageway, one footpath. They're lowering the level of the road. They're currently lowering the level and the spill of the lights. So we keep our dark corridor and keep our dark trees going across the top. Hopefully we'll see how that one goes. So last bit here, the Dark Streets Initiative. This is something that's happening quite close to where I live, and therefore I've been keeping a bit of an eye on it. And it's an issue I think I've suggested to our back group that we need to start looking into. We'll see whether we can get any real benefit from it. But it's a budget-driven initiative. It's happening all over the country. There are lots of different councils doing this, where they're switching off the lights at midnight to 5:30 or various other times. But in Leeds, it's midnight to 5:30. At the moment, it's a 10-year rolling programme. The cost of lighting the streets in Leeds is roughly £4 million a year. And over the next 10 years, 1 in 8 of the lights in Leeds will be switched off for this period of time, and they're looking at getting a saving of 1.3 million a year. So it's saving a lot of money. It could also save a lot for wildlife. The street with the A on it, helpful from Google Maps, because they always do it. This is one of the pilot projects. That's a picture of it at 8 o'clock last Monday night. So as you can see, it's got lighting columns that are into the trees. It's a very tree-lined route. It's next, exactly where that picture is the graveyard, the lovely old church, and yes, the church has bats in it because I do the local bat walk there. So it's lovely countryside out to one side. To the other side, it's farmland, 2 railway lines, the River Aire and the River Calder meet just up the road. So it is really nice habitat for bats. So start as you mean to go on is my message from this one, really. When we're putting in a new development in this area, we should be piggybacking this initiative. And instead of having that development have this initiative as an add-on later when you switch the lights off, surely it should be going in now. Surely all new developments, where it's safe to do so, should have this initiative within them. And that way you're saving money and you're also giving a space for wildlife. So thank you for listening. I think my main issues, and it's been really great today because I think we have the tools and we're getting there. It's been a really good look at what everybody's doing. We need some more guidance, which is great for waving at clients and making them do stuff. But I think it is all about the timing, and I hope that in the future, just like it was a few weeks ago, we get the opportunity for more of us to have a bit of look like that.